What's up, bud? It's Rob. This is Apparel Success. And as you can tell behind me, there is no more apparel here anymore. And that's because I've shipped it all out to my fulfillment center in Toronto that's going to be handling all of the fulfillment for my clothing brand moving forward. And I thought that it would be a cool idea to make a video here where I talk about some of the different stages that I've evolved through and how some of those stages required me to take a step backwards before making 2 steps forwards. And how a lot of your journey, especially when you hit plateaus, is going to come down to you taking a step backwards in order for you to make 2 steps forwards. And I want to talk to you about my experience with this. Here it is. Apparel Success is sponsored by my buds over at Design Crowd. Designs are tough if you're not a designer. I get it. I use Design Crowd myself for my own clothing brand. You post a project on there, designers from all around the world are going to compete for your project. You choose the winner, then you get that design plus revisions. These are no lie, some of the best-selling designs on my website, and I got them all made through Design Crowd. If you're interested, head over to designcrowd.com/apparel to learn about the special offer that I have for you, or simply use the discount code APPAREL when you post a project on Design Crowd. Making big, scary changes is necessary in order for you to overcome plateaus inside of your clothing brand. I want to say that one more time here. Making big changes inside of your clothing brand is necessary in order for you to overcome plateaus inside of your clothing brand. And I know this from the 5 years that I've been growing my own clothing brand. Over the 5 years that I've been growing my own clothing brand, I've run into 3 or 4 big plateaus. And the only way that I was able to really get over them and reach a whole new level for my clothing brand was to completely rethink my strategies, rethink the way that I was operating, and just think outside of the box and look for new opportunities. What happens for a lot of clothing brands is they try something and it works a little bit, and so they keep running with it forever. They keep running with it forever, and they never change it. They never really think that, okay, even though this is working a little bit, maybe there's something else that's working way better that I just haven't discovered yet, that I haven't really implemented for my own clothing brand. And so I really want to share with you my journey here, growing my own clothing brand over the past 5 years, and the different plateaus that I hit and how exactly I overcame them and what that looked like to really get to a whole new level with my brand. The first year or two growing my clothing brand, and this is really how it should be for every single clothing brand, is trying to master the product market fit of your brand. And so what this looks like is trying to really sculpt your brand to be something that's perfect for a group of people where they're going to be able to see the value in it. That's really the first year or two. That's a really scrappy stage. It's a really, it just takes a lot of work, a lot of grinding, a lot of changes, a lot of tweaks, and a lot of your distribution, a lot of your marketing tactics can be as simple as just, basic guerrilla marketing strategies like hopping on Instagram and pushing your brand out that way, because that's a really good way of testing your brand in the marketplace, seeing if there's a good product market fit yet without having to break the bank and spend a lot of money. So that's what it looked like for me in my first year or two, right? I was just trying to get the product market fit to be absolutely perfect. Once I discovered that I'd sculpted my brand and all the products that I'm coming out with and all my messaging, my website, my Instagram, and all these things into something that people were able to resonate with and that they wanted to buy just from me simply engaging with them, I realized that I needed more distribution. So this is my first plateau. All of the guerrilla marketing tactics that I was putting in place, all of the organic marketing strategies worked out well. And I actually did, $50,000 to $60,000 a year in revenue just by simply working that system of manually engaging with people and investing my time. But then you reach a point where it's like, okay, I'm not really growing anymore by doing this. How exactly can I expand my reach? How can I expand this and take this more into my control? And where's the next opportunity for massive growth where I can not only just, 2x, but 5x, 10x my growth? And this is where I really started to dive into Facebook ads, because I realized that there's only so much organic can do for me with my clothing brand and selling online and getting reach And if I can just figure out how to work these Facebook ads and master them and master the conversion rate and my budgets and things like that, that this will really help take my clothing brand to a whole new level. So I literally, for months on end, just put aside the whole guerrilla marketing thing. And, ideally I wouldn't be doing that, but just me on my own running my clothing brand here, I couldn't maintain that while I had full effort in learning this other thing. And so I learned it, and that really sent my clothing brand from $50,000 to $60,000 a year to well over $100,000 a year. And that really got me over that plateau by making a big, scary change inside of my clothing brand. Another way that I absolutely rethought everything was what my brand was all about. Even though I'd gotten some results in the first year or two selling my clothing brand, it still didn't feel like it was flowing as well as I wanted it to. It hadn't quite gotten to the point where I tapped a market and it was just really easy to be making those sales. And so I knew that there was some sticking going on there. There was some sort of just smoothing that needed to happen with my brand. And what I ended up coming to was the whole brand concept and the types of designs that I was coming out with and what my brand was really trying to do. And so I switched the messaging of my brand to representing rural Canada. I switched all of the designs to being all sayings that incorporate bud, spelt like with the Canadian saying BAHD, but that all had the different Canadian sayings worked into it. And when I did that, and I made that huge change for my clothing brand, that also really helped get my clothing brand to a whole new level. I know for a fact that most people who are running their clothing brands aren't thinking like this very often. They're not thinking, how can I push this? How can I really think differently? How can I try new strategies out? And what is, another paradigm that I can elevate my brand to that will really help me function at a whole new level? Another big plateau that I reached was once I really started getting my brand to the point where everything was flying now, the brand's really working and it's really connecting with my audience, I'm really figuring out these Facebook ads, then you run into a whole new plateau where you realize you're getting enough orders on a regular basis that you have to hire people. You can't do it all on your own. Jeff Bezos isn't going around delivering all the Amazon packages by himself. He's hired a team to do it. And there comes a point where you have to do that inside of your brand. And so that's led me to, my most recent plateau here. I'm hitting, $50,000, $60,000 a month in revenue mark for my clothing brand. And it's just become a lot of management. I've run into a lot of, organizational issues with the inventory here. Having to pack and fulfill all the orders all the time is taking away from my ability to market and grow my clothing brand and do the things that I'm best at. So instead of wallowing around doing this forever, I'm making a big, scary change. I've partnered with a fulfillment company that's going to be handling all of the orders for my clothing brand. And they can handle all of the orders for my clothing brand to no limit on a daily basis. So the scale is practically infinite based on my own marketing abilities and my abilities to work social media when it comes to my advertising. And, the way that I decide to come out with new designs and push my brand moving forward. And so this is just another example of a massive change that I'm making because I don't want to sit still too long. I'd rather make a change and it doesn't work, then I can change and revert and go back to, how things were, than just sit around forever and not make any changes and your clothing brand is just slowly dying, right? If you're not growing, you're dying with your clothing brand. So it's really important to keep pushing it in terms of the ways that you can improve the whole way that you're operating your clothing brand and the way that you're marketing your brand. So it's really important to shock the system. And I think the best time to do this is when you've been in a plateau for an extended period of time. If you've been in a plateau for an extended period of time, you're only going to get the results of the strategies that you're implementing right now. So whatever you're doing right now is just going to keep getting you the same results that you're getting right now. And unless you rethink things, unless you research new ways to do things, and you're open to new ways to do things, then that's all that you can really expect to get out of your clothing brand. It kind of, in a weird way, is hard to deal with because it's forcing your evolution. You know, it's a natural human tendency of ours to feel comfortable. We feel like, God, once we've made it, we just want to put it on autopilot and ride that thing out until the very end. But unfortunately, as an entrepreneur, that's really not how it works. You can't just throw your business on autopilot forever. There's constantly new things evolving. There's constantly new problems that you're running into, and growth requires you to really inject fuel into your brand through change. Another example of a way that I'm shaking things up inside of my business is I've hired a bookkeeper to handle all of the bookkeeping for my businesses. I'm not good at that stuff. I might as well hire somebody else to do it for me, who knows what they're doing and who's good at it. And they'll also take it off my hands. It frees up more time for me to do what I'm good at. I'm going to be hiring somebody to help me with my customer support for KBud as well. And then, you know, even with this YouTube channel, I'm thinking about different ways that I can offer this service, different ways that I can do things and deliver content that keeps it fresh and that really just kind of, you know, resonates in a new way every single time. And, you know, I think that that's important just to stay relevant and to keep growing. And that's the key factor in you becoming a successful entrepreneur. What are some of the big changes that you've made inside of your clothing brand that really helped you get to the next level? Write those in the comments below. I think it would really help benefit every single person who's coming across these videos to read about that, to sort of spark some ideas for them. And if you haven't already, check out my free clothing brand marketing masterclass. All you have to do to get access is go to apparelsuccess.com/masterclass and you can watch the whole thing for free. And if you've made it to this point in the video, I want to tell you about the closed Facebook group that we have for Apparel Success. There's a link in the description. Follow that link, join us in the group, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.